policy, a few people keep the door closed.
I think that's what she said.
That's fine. Not an issue. Nothing shady going on in here. Just the truth.
I'll come back for you, my love. Well, bonus, huh? Get to hear me sing tonight. Hey, hello, everybody. Welcome back to Adulting
Kind of.
with Jeff and Zach. Hey, sorry about last week. I got pulled to do an assignment, a story that ended up not going through. But that's okay because I had to get
It's
stuff
fine.
done.
Sounds like you got a break, a day off. You work too hard, man.
I'd rather do this than that other stuff. But yeah, so we're good to go. We're
Good,
ready
and
to
we're
go.
back.
So yeah, it's good to finally be back. So yeah, hey, let's get into it. Welcome to WDSR. We are back. And listen, I can't. There may be times where Tuesdays are hard because the paper prints on Wednesday, so I have to get all the articles and stuff in, and we're still trying to figure that out. I think I don't know these young people, but
You're one of these young people.
oh my gosh. So yeah, we are back and ready to roll. Tonight, we're going to talk about some stuff. We're going to talk maybe. Well, first of all, I've had so many awkward interactions between last time we were here and today. Well, not today, but like I've so many awkward. I can't wait to divulge them and tell the audience because
No, I still think I got the best one, unfortunately.
yeah. Well, yours is hilarious. Yours is hilarious,
And sometime.
and I
think
got to
you'll
be
beat
a
me.
part of it. That was the nice part. I got to be a part. I got to watch you have to explain to an executive for the Pittsburgh Steelers that you mistakenly told him, because all he wanted to do was get Mike Tomlin to write a letter, right? Mike Tomlin to write a letter. And Jeff, if you guys don't remember, had mistakenly told them that the person we were getting this stuff done for had passed away, when in reality, the young airman was just retiring and he's alive and well, and Jeff did stolen valor. So, and then he had to talk to the guy and tell him. It's hilarious. It was a comedy of errors. I swear to gosh, like Larry David has to be my biological father. He has to be, because I keep getting into these horrible, like these awkward situations, and I just don't know how to explain myself. Like it's absolutely nuts. And we'll see it tonight. Like we'll talk about it tonight.
All right. I'm excited.
Yeah, and I know I keep promising guests and stuff like that, and that was the intention going into the semester. And now with because the chunk of the heart of my week is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. That is just, I am literally here from 8 a.m. Till 9 p.m. on Tuesdays. Then I get here about noon on Wednesdays, and I leave about 2 a.m. And then I'm here 2 to 6 on Thursday. So that's really that's where my time is consumed mostly in that area. So I do apologize. I'm not giving up on the show or anything like that, but there may be some times where I just can't do it. Something comes up or whatever. And I do want to cover as many stories as possible, build up that portfolio so I can get a job making $35,000 a year. Yay!
You're supposed to add a zero at the end of that, man.
Yeah, I don't think that'll ever happen.
Give it some time.
Yeah, actually, that was my article this week. It was how expensive it is to be broke. I thought it was it's pretty funny. Most of the yeah, I don't have an article this week. I get to write the staff ed, and there's 3 opinion articles about stuff.
I didn't get a chance to read. Give me one worth reading. Give me the top one, or is that starting drama?
What do you mean?
The best opinions article you got.
Oh, for this coming week?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep. Starting drama.
No,
Not trying
everybody's
to.
very talented on the paper. I'm very excited, and I get to edit and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool. And I have to really hunker down on my abilities as well. So this is kind of a nice break for that. Jody's gone. I don't know what I'm going to do. She's going for it's a Jewish holiday. Ramashan. Rosh.
Very ignorant when it comes to all the holidays.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Too many syllables, right? Your holidays should only have like 2 or 3. Easter.
Yep.
Hanukkah. Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Birthday. When you start getting 4 or 5 syllables to explain your holiday,
Too much.
probably not a real holiday. Just kidding. I'm sure. I'm just kidding. sounds wonderful. I wish I could be there. She's still worried about COVID. Their family's very worried about COVID. I get it. Plus, in the middle of a semester, taking along, that's tough. That's tough. So, yeah, I have
That means
no
you're
idea.
gonna miss Game of Thrones this Sunday.
I know, and yeah, and we started watching Game of Thrones together, and now I can't. Yeah, I won't be able to watch it until she comes
I
back.
mean, you could.
No, I won't do that. Even though she falls asleep during the episodes most of the time. Anyway,
How?
I'll be good.
How in
Because
the world does she fall asleep
Because
on
it's
the
my
episode?
fault. Because I'm like, I talk her ear off or something, and then it'll be 11:30, and I'm like, oh, time to watch a movie, and I'll pick it, and she'll fall asleep because she's a responsible human that has like a good bedtime, while I am still a child. So,
I am also a child when it comes to that. I usually just read and write until I fall asleep, and then I fall asleep in a very uncomfortable position and
absolutely.
feel it in the morning.
Yeah, that's the worst. Oh my gosh, especially now that I'm doing the work. Ugh, gross. Hey guys, thank you so much for joining me tonight. Again, I do apologize. You know what the thing was? My family, they were in a beach house in I don't know where to go, South Carolina or somewhere nice, and they were all like getting ready and getting ready to listen to me as a family all together
nice.
and stuff like that. So, and then I disappointed them, which isn't really that big a deal because like my family should know, like I'm really good at disappointing them. Like that's that's my thing. Like that's what I do. So it's good. But I do appreciate everybody tuning back in, listening tonight. To our new listeners, we're on every Tuesday. You can email us, follow us on Instagram at adulting kind of with Z and J. Is that our handle?
That is
And then-
us.
Excellent. And you can email us adulting with Z and J. Or you can follow me or Jeff on Facebook. I delete it and then I bring it back on. The only reason I brought it back on a little bit earlier this week was because I was at the Steelers game and I wanted people to know. I wanted to flex.
Oh yeah, you're cool.
So thank you for those 6 likes out there, people. All right. Hey, when we come back, I have to tell everybody how and why I got fired. Well, I didn't really get fired, but we'll get into that when I come back. So here's some Tracy Chapman talking about a revolution. That was wild.
Part of the transition.
Oh wait, no. I do mice.
Wait, did you resign or you actually got fired, dude?
Uh,
Or low column A, low column B.
what's that?
I was saying, why'd you get fired? Did you actually? Or
No,
did you quit?
it was more of a like, yeah, you're not very good at this kind of thing.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it makes you feel better. That's why I also quit mine. So just two unemployed losers with a dream.
With a dream.
Oh,
Motion. Oh, well, yeah, I want to stop this on real quick to tell you, Jeff, just real quick. I have an aunt, and she is an exceptional gambler. Right?
ooh, nice.
Very good at. She's very good at
She's a card counter. What are we talking?
no, like sports gambling. Like she knows her stuff.
okay,
She knows her
cool.
stuff.
Cool,
And,
good.
She beat me a few years ago in fantasy football. We played together, and she made like poop brownies, right? So brownies with like the emoji, and she made like this big deal about I lost. So I just wanted everybody in the world to know that I destroyed her this week, even though I left Tua and one of the wide receivers from Detroit on the bench. So I left 100 points on the bench, and I still was able to murder her mercilessly. So
Nice.
I just thought I would stop the song and
Definitely.
let everybody know. that
You
I
should make her
destroyed
some brownies back.
I'm not gonna cook it. I'll make her pizza rolls
Undercooked too. Make sure you know.
because I don't know how to use a toaster oven properly. So yeah, okay. So let me go. Let me talk. I have the worst experience at this soccer shots thing, right? So first of all, I have no idea about soccer, right? I know,
Yeah.
and I know even
does?
less about children. Like I have nieces who I love and adore, but
You like them, not all children.
no, that's for sure. But like with my nieces, like they're intelligent. Everybody says that about like,
Of course.
oh, my kid's smart. Like it's not every child is smart. If that was true, we'd be in a lot different position. But they're intelligent young women, and I talk to them, and I think my sister gets mad when I do this a little bit, but I talk to them like adults. Like I hate when I have to talk to them about Santa Claus or whatever that stuff. So one of the things that I think I enjoy is talking to children on their level and talking to them like humans, and they understand my sense of humor because it's very sophomoric. But I'm a bad coach. I'm a bad soccer coach. So okay, so everybody, so Saturday, right? This is a couple Saturdays ago. So how it works is they're 30-minute sessions, and they're about 10 to 12 kids, and I do about 5 sessions a night, right? So, and it varies from there. So it's Saturday, and I cannot remember these kids' names. Like, I try to, write the kid's name. I try to put, oh, remember, this kid's really ugly or whatever. And I just can't remember their names. And a note to you millennials, right? If I could talk to my generation and the generation coming up, don't name your kids something weird. Right. Let's stick to the holiday. 2 syllables is enough, right? Zachary, too long. My parents should have just named me Zach. They should have just stuck with Zach. Too long a syllable. So these kids have all these insane names that look like one thing, but you pronounce it another way, and then they get mad because you have an understanding of the phonetic alphabet and they don't. So it's, I'm not a mind reader. So I'm being petty. So anyway, long story short, it's my last session. This is my older group. I think it's 4 to 6. And I have, there's these 2 girls. And I remember one of the girls' name, let me restart this story. Please strike that from the record. There are these 2 children. And I remember one of their names is Evie, right? Evie, that's a Pokemon. I remember that. I know that. And the other one is something I can't even remember. Anyway, so they're related, right? They're siblings. And I said something to Evie like, "Oh, you guys want to be on the same team because you're sisters," or something to that effect. Apparently, that 4-year-old wasn't a little girl. It was a boy. Now, long, very feminine features, very even had a feminine name, if I remember correctly. But the parents were very adamant that was her brother, not her sister, even though and it wasn't intentional, and I'll do whatever it takes. Like, I'm not one of those anti-transgender. Whatever you want to be called, I'm 100% with you. I definitely want to do that. So I felt really, really bad that I misgendered a small child, because that's got to be a tough thing to go through. And I am not a scientist. I'm not a biologist. I think people should be happy in the skin, in the world that they need to create, or however the proper wording for that is. And I just felt really bad. I don't want to be part of a problem, right? So I'm sure that child has a lot to go through, especially if it's a gender fluid type of thing. And I felt crushed about it. So I'm thinking really, really, I'm having a hard time with it, because I do, even though I'm bad at coaching, I still want to be a positive influence. Fast forward to the next day. It's a Sunday. It's raining outside, so it's a really crappy day. And what do you know? My boss shows up, right? And he's going to watch me do practice. Now, he doesn't watch my first practice, which went so well. Kids were listening. I mean, I think one of them actually called me father, like, "Hey, Dad." Like, that's how I was connecting with these children.
Nice.
But the second one. So what I do when I start the practice is I have them run, right? So I do like a little bit of drills with them, a little bit, like I make them stick their hands up and pretend they're Frankenstein and get their knees to their hands. Just fun stuff. Right. So the first thing I do is have them run as fast as I can to the yellow cones. So as these kids, they take off, and then this little fat kid, I'm sorry. That's so mean. This kid, I shouldn't say, no, that was, I apologize. This kid who's bigger than everybody, right? So he looks older than the rest of the kids, right? So he runs from one end to the other, and he comes and he punches another kid, right? Out of nowhere.
Why?
I have no idea how this is going. And and then I lose them, right? So I'm 30 seconds into in this practice where my boss is watching, and I'm losing the kids. There's chaos ensuing. Kids are crying, picking up. I'm trying everything I can to get them back into order. And so what, you focus on the kids that are listening, but there's only 2 kids that are listening, and there's kids fighting with each other. Parents aren't doing anything. It is utter chaos. And my big boss is watching me do this. So I somehow get through the practice. What I ended up doing is I ended up just having him play the game and like trying to do that. And at the end of the session, what I do is I pass out stickers, right? And I always give him a compliment, like, hey, we have words of the day, right? So I think our word of the day was confidence. You show a lot of confidence out there, or respect, or whatever that is. So I get to one child, right, and I'm sweating because I'm running around too, and I act like, hey, troublemaker, you did an excellent job, whatever, right? So
Please
practice is over. I have
to
to get ready. I have literally 5 minutes to get ready for the next session. And another coach and this parent comes up to me, and he's got his chest out, and he yells at me in front of my boss that I called his kid a troublemaker. Like, he made such a scene that I had called his troublemaking child a troublemaker. It was so embarrassing. So I talked to the guy afterwards, and I was like, yeah, this probably isn't for me. So it was ridiculous. And it's hard. These teachers that are coming in, it's a hard world to navigate, and you have all of my respect. Every single one of my, all of that, because it is a tough road to plow. To plow? Tough road to hoe. It's a tough road to hoe? Is that what it is?
plow, I thought.
Tough road to. Okay, it's
definitely a long road ahead of you.
Yeah, you deserve the $46,000 a year that you're gonna make.
46. That's a lot, man. What are those numbers?
Yeah, well, that's probably. I remember when I was in high school, a teacher told me they made $26,000.
Yeah, that sounds all right.
So with inflation and increase and stuff like that, I guess I just imagine it'd be 36.
Probably 30 at the max.
But either way, teachers, if you're working in that realm, you have my utmost respect. That is a very hard job to do, and the one advice I could give you is do not let Zachary C. Petrov be your kid's coach, because he will probably screw it up. So, all right, guys, when we come back, hey, we're gonna get into. Oh wait, before I go, okay, so I was thinking about this earlier. Is this a military thing, or do you think that this happens like with the general population? When you meet somebody for the first time, especially like a professor or like a boss or something, like, do you imagine what they look like when they yell?
Yes, absolutely. Especially, I don't want to be the person getting yelled at too.
Do you think that's a military thing, or do you think that everybody does that?
I think it's a military thing.
Because
maybe
you're
they're just like just accustomed to getting yelled at. But I think it's a little like you might get the one weirdo,
right?
But for the most part, I think it's military.
I have one professor who he's really like, I love him. He's a really good guy. But like, I hate going to his class. He's like a hip. He's an old guy that's trying to be hip. He's got like a leather wristband. He's really cool. He's an amazing, right? Very talented. But every time I look at him, I'm like, oh my God, I'm staring into my future. This is my future. And he's got like this gruff voice, and I always I have these I just picture him just yelling at me, screwing something up. And I didn't know if that's a military thing or if that's a. What about you out there in audience land? What do you guys, when you meet somebody, especially like a new boss or maybe even a coworker or anything, like not an intimate relationship, do you automatically think of how they are when they yell at you?
Hopefully.
What do you think Chris is like when he yells?
I think you got to get him very angry.
But what do you think he's like? Do you think he's a foot stomper?
Yeah, foot stomper. Like, I think he puts his body into everything. Very sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exaggerates, and I'm very sure there's a point where he will give you a knife hand. Yeah. And
So,
I'm there to see it.
For those that don't know, Chris is he's our faculty advisor, I guess. Is that how you put it?
Director for the club, a director / amazing guy.
He's a really nice guy, cool guy.
Shout out to Chris.
He was a
If you're listening.
former recruiter for 20 years. Just another one of the few people that just bends over backwards for everybody. But he's a really short guy, and he's from Wisconsin. You kind of hear his accent a little bit. So I used to have a buddy that had a slang kind of coupled with the Wisconsin accent. Great. So when he yelled at you, it was the weirdest thing in the world. He didn't yell that much, but so that's what we're talking about. So just picture, a 5'4" guy, prior military, screaming at you, and that's the vision we're trying to impose. So, all right, hey, when we come back, we're gonna get back into it. I gotta look at my notes. What are we gonna talk about? Oh yeah, we're gonna go back to this police chief thing. Oh yeah, no, it didn't end. So when we come back, we're gonna talk about how much we love the police. All right, guys. Maybe.
Oh, I thought you were gonna play the cops theme song.
I should have. Oh, where were you?
And you talk about the story where the lady got assaulted. Because I think that's a good one to talk about too. Got them right on the Fifth Avenue.
What's that?
The woman that was assaulted, I think she was smacked.
Yeah.
Oh, punched in the face, thrown on the ground, and I think she tried to steal a purse. Purse, backpack of some sort. But God bless the queen, I guess. Were you sad? Would you stand in that line to go see her body?
Who?
The queen.
No. I wouldn't do that for any politician.
If I got off of work, I would do it.
I wouldn't even do that. I'd have to dress up. I hate dressing up. No, I wouldn't.
Yeah, true.
I went to the courthouse. Like our judge had this thing.
Oh, I need to do that too, actually.
One of my professors said we'd come see his chambers, which is a really cool thing. Like
What class are you in?
history of law, history of Western law,
Oh, yeah.
and he and like it's 20 lawyers and 3 historians. I think 2 of them dropped, and and someone asked like, "Hey, should we dress up?" He's like, "No, but don't look." So anyway, I deal
That
with
means dress up. That means
That's-
dress up if I've ever heard it.
Okay, so
That means dress up.
you are smarter than I am because these kids were dressed so nice, tucked in shirts and like even tucked in like it was. And then I came in with shorts and boat shoes on, and like it's like, oh my god.
That is always my fear. I'm not gonna lie.
But there's no way. Like if I had to dress up, I just would have gone. Like
Yeah.
I'm not
Did
putting
you
on.
stay? I need to know. Did you stay or did you just walk out?
I stayed until, and then he wanted to grab a picture with everybody. And when he went to go to put his robe on, I bounced. Nope, you're not getting a picture of me in here.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, no,
And that was the Modest Mouse coming at you, world at large. So, yeah, it was a rough week for me creatively last week. I had some not so good. Not my best work was printed in the paper, right? I got to get into the swing of things, and I haven't hit that. It's not writer's block. It's my inability to really craft like a really well designed sentence. Like my opinion piece is fine. That's fine. Anybody can have a blog, but there's almost a science to it, a formula to it, and I just am not hitting it, and it's driving me nuts. So and I got not reprimanded.
scolded.
Not even that. No, but I always feel like writing is vulnerable, and when someone says bad things about your writing, like
It
cuts you a little, bit deeper.
What? It hurts. Absolutely.
And the worst part is the criticism is not wrong. It's actually extremely valid.
Yep.
So, it was a rough day. And then I come to find out. So we had, so if you were here 2 weeks ago, I talked about, I was writing a story about student safety, and I had tried to get a hold of the police chief, and the police chief, his PR people had sent me an email saying, you can't talk to the chief. Everything has to go through us. So, okay, that's weird. Meanwhile, he was doing a profile piece. He set aside 3 hours to do a profile piece for another student, another reporter, which is fine. I mean,
Is that
one's
typically
easier than the
normal?
other.
Like, what we talking for the people that
This is the
don't
first
know?
time ever. I mean, I wrote, I think 7, 8 news pieces, 3 sources per story. I've never had to get my questions looked at before. I always sat down with somebody. Maybe I zoomed with somebody, people at the time, but I always had a sit down reaction. I want to get what they're saying. There's so much that's lost in just an email.
Absolutely.
And plus I feel like if I just copy and paste quotes, you're missing out on something.
Yeah.
So anyway, so the guy, I send him my emails. He doesn't respond, or he responds or whatever, and then but he only responds to certain questions, right? He didn't respond to all of my questions. So okay, whatever. My story gets pushed back, so I have another week to work on it. So I ask follow-up questions, right? And I get an email back. So I emailed the chief directly, right? So the first.
Sounds like a no-no.
Right, and that was another no. Even though he said you can contact me here at my email, when I sent him the email, the police chief sent it to his PR people. And this is at a school, a university, he has a communications department, which is, again, asinine. You wonder why your college tuition is so much. Maybe we should look at where we're spending our money. Just saying. And so it's Tuesday, then it's Wednesday comes. Now, I have 5 follow-up questions, and these are not hard-hitting questions. These are very particular questions. And I get a response back, sorry, the police chief is too busy with the new Thomas Klein. So there was a $50 million donation to the School of Law. They changed the school name. It's a big deal. $50 million is a big deal. I don't know what the police chief has to do with that. I don't know why you can't sit down and respond to 5 emails about student safety. I don't see how that, like, your days are so consumed, you couldn't do that. So he never responded to me, ever. I never got a reply back. Then I come to find out Thursday night, the police chief, an adult male, and an older adult male, not like me, who's in his early 30s, he said that he had sent to the same writer that the focus piece on him, sent pictures of himself in Europe. So when he was a college student in Europe, he thought it was appropriate to send pictures to a 19-year-old, 20-year-old. So he has time to do that, but he won't answer questions about. Not only is that incredibly inappropriate, right? And sure, whatever his orientation, his sexual orientation is fine. There's still a line. There's still a level of professionalism there. People get upset, right? Whenever you hear the phrase defund the police, right? And I have family members, I guess. I'll call them in law enforcement. The problem is there is a lack of accountability, and we keep allowing these budgets to get bigger and bigger, but the problems don't go away. I think that's called the sunk fallacy. Is that the sunk cost fallacy? Defund the police isn't about not having a police force. It's about holding people accountable. And when they can just refuse to answer questions about safety, when they can act unimposed without anybody questioning their authority, you're going to have issues. I'm a proponent I'm a big believer in defund the police, right? And obviously that word has been that phrase has been hijacked so long. And I think I've talked about this before. But what I keep noticing is there's this lack. We put so much pressure on the police. So I do understand how hard it is to do those kinds of jobs. And what we are doing to supplement their, dangerous work conditions is we're throwing money at the problem. We're saying, hey, here's a tank or whatever. Here's this, here's that. What we're doing is we're not doing a good job with the hiring process. We're doing a really bad job at the hiring process. We allow them, and I forget the phrase. I think it's shoot. Why am I doing this on the radio? So when you're in trouble as a policeman, and you're brought up on actions, the people that determine how bad you are your peers, right? So you're not being held to a regular standard. Of course, your boys aren't going to say, yeah, no, this guy's bad or whatever. And what happens, and this has been the case with so many faulty policemen, is you do get fired, you do get removed from a police force, your record doesn't follow you. You just go to a different precinct. You just go to a different area, right? So when you hear the phrase defund the police, what you're really hearing is a cry of very much needed, especially from disenfranchised, especially from poor people, especially from non-white sections of the population. There's a cry for these men and women who walk around who have very little accountability. They can do whatever they want. They can shoot you, they can taser you, and we're so afraid to say anything because we sound like we're bad Americans, or it's the same bull crap with the military, right? We are not allowed to say anything against it because it sounds like you're against it, you're anti-American. These are not anti-American policies. These are, if anything, they're more American policies. You're telling me 1776 and the foundation of this country, which, again, the history of it, we can talk about at another time. on a country that's founded on this ideal of being rebels and breaking away and revolutions, do you think the American, the foresight that our founding fathers had, or was a police state, would allow this much power for a non-governed entity in our society? Of course not. That's a ridiculous notion. So I know it's a big leap, right? I go to a university, I'm talking, I'm talking about of somebody not doing something I want, right? So there's a bias there. I understand that. However, it's a repeated pattern that we constantly see. These guys, look at the Texas police that did nothing. They get millions of dollars in training. They're all SWAT trained. They all have the coolest and the coolest weapons, and they take the most, baddest Instagram photos. And they're not releasing anything. They're slow to, present information. They're not doing anything. It's a repeated pattern, and when you let it happen at levels this low, it's just going to snowball. It's just going to snowball. And and I did bring up, what happens. So Duquesne, again, as I've explained before, it's on top of a hill, and it's like a little city. It's like a little village up here. It's really, really cool. It's beautiful, actually. But there's other buildings that are across the street. Is that Forbes Avenue?
Yeah, 4th and 5th.
And it is very dangerous there. And I shouldn't say very, but it is dangerous there. I can guarantee you, and this is not an exaggeration, I could walk here to the Veterans Center, which is 2 streets, what is that, a block and a half, and I will fall, if we go the back way, I will find
6-7 needles.
100%, just laying there. I've seen videos of people in broad daylight having, intercourse, and people have been robbed, have been hit. There is a real danger there, and that's what I was asking. That was one of the questions I'm asking about. So, again, I know I'm taking a little thing, and the reason I brought up the police chief thing is because I did get a lot of comments about it. People were, wondering what they thought it was a good segment. So, of course, I'm going to bring it into the next segment. But this type of behavior, these types of actions are repeated, and they're snowball effects. And if nobody keeps them accountable, nobody holds them accountable. If we allow them to do inappropriate behavior or unprofessional behavior because they wear a badge, we are setting ourselves up for failure. So, and rant. Not
good
rant.
It was a good rant.
Well, it's needed, and it is weird, right? It's a really weird situation when you're supposed to report in the newspaper, right? Like I did a profile piece on the new dean of the Bayer School, brilliant chemist. Oh my gosh, she's like a genius. She was trying to explain things to me. Very, very smart. Very excited to meet her. One of the more hard interviews because she was very, close, and she, talked a lot about things that I had no idea. I mean, I tried to listen to her. She was on a podcast in 2009. I tried to read some of her articles all over my head. I am not a smart person. And, but so I asked her a question, right? And it was, how was the selection process of the dean, right? She said, "Oh no, that's inappropriate. I can't answer that." So you live in a when you're reporting out of school, you have people to answer to, right? It's a weird dynamic, right? So if I was, let's say, with the Gazette or the Tribune, what do you mean? You can follow up with that. What do you mean? I don't have to worry about any real repercussions. The only thing I have to worry about is if my words are false, right? Or if I'm doing a bad job, if I'm not. But there's these extra hidden penalties you could make by not painting someone in a good light. And so it's a weird thing you have to navigate through, which I'm trying to do my very, very best with. But subtlety has never been, my strong suit. So that's my rant for journalism. And I understand, there is a need for journalism out there. And hopefully these are sharpening the tools that we'll need. So, hey, guys, when we come back, we're going to talk about... Oh, I have another awkward story I'm gonna end with. Hey, we wanted to give a little shout out. We usually don't promote products on this show, but Jeff, I sent you a picture of this, I think, yesterday in the group chat. Guys,
yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you're in the need for some new threads, is that what the young kids are calling? What's a cool polo shirt to rep your school? Down at the bookstore, at the Duquesne bookstore. I think it's Barnes & Noble. Is that right? I think it's Barnes & Noble. You can pick up a Thomas R. Klein polo shirt for the low price of $124.98. So
Thomas R. Klein. Steal.
What? Steal $124 for a believe it's a navy blue. Got the
Ooh,
Duquesne University,
nice.
the Thomas R. Klein School of Law. You can go purchase that one right now. So
Want to go halfsies on it?
sure. I get it Tuesday, Thursdays.
Boom. All right, I get the rest.
Okay, that's fine. Oh, I want it on weekends though when I go clubbing.
How about every other weekend?
Deal. I'll do it.
Deal. Boom.
But you have to pay for sales tax.
Let's see if we can get the vet center to take care of it.
Yeah, so all right, everybody. So if you've got $125 plus tax burning a hole in your pocket, you don't know where to spend it, you want to look cool, you want to fit in, head on over to the Duquesne bookstore and purchase yourself a polo, Thomas R. Klein, and you can look like your dad for $125. All right, guys. Hey, we'll be back here moment. Not my dad. My dad's dead. We'll be back here in a moment.
We gotta give Chris a shout out. He's listening.
Is he?
Yeah, give him a nice one, whenever you can.
I did. I should have called him.
Give him another one, of course, absolutely. You know, you should give him a wrong shout out. Oh yeah, the best pit director. There's something like that. Like yeah, oh yeah, our director. Yeah, he was in the Air Force. He was an Air Force reservist. And he's drinking right now too. So yes, that would definitely light a fire under him.
These songs are depressing. Why did you pick such slow music tonight? I did not do a good job. You know what happened? There's a song I really, really like. It's called Ohio by Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young. Right, so it's an old school. It's about the Kent shooting or whatever. I really like it. And Spotify allowed me to add it to my playlist, but I can't play it for some reason. So that threw me off. So I'm mad at Spotify. So all you music folks out there, all you're getting is my voice tonight. And then I'll probably end it on American Shoes by Rainbow Kitten Surprise. Hey, got a couple shout outs tonight. Shout out. We mentioned him earlier. I just want to give him a proper shout out
Yeah, I think he's listening right now.
the former Pitt veteran person, Chris Basakatahate. He's another. His last name is so long. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So Chris, again, he's just one of those people at Duquesne that like makes your experience here better because they have like this interest in your well-being. And
Yeah,
I've never
definitely sounds like him.
I've never really felt that. I definitely didn't feel that at Kent, but I went to Kent's. It's a fine institution. I shouldn't say like that, but yeah, no. But he's just one of the very many reminders at Duquesne, and what I do, what my unfortunate gift is, I'm really good at complaining, so I can find out all the small stuff. But so sometimes it's hard. You gotta really appreciate all the great stuff that's out there, and Chris definitely makes the Duquesne experience, at least for me, and I know for a lot of other veterans, the best possible. So, all right, enough veterans talk. Enough of it. We're gonna have enough of that in November and stuff like that. So,
One of these days, we're gonna get him on the show. He's definitely a treat.
yeah, I know he's good, but it's late, and I always like maybe we can zoom him or something like that.
I think he'd like that. He's listening to us now.
Oh, excellent. He's probably passing out on the lawns. I think what is it? His back.
Yeah, he's got like an acre yard.
Oh, wait, hey Chris, if you're hearing, some of us would like maybe we could have a cookout at your house.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd love to trash your yard and stuff.
Also, bring in more jerky.
Yeah. Oh yeah, jerky. Yeah, for sure. So I have oh my gosh. So Jeff, this happened to me last Thursday, right? And I'm sorry, this is like 2 weeks of stuff, right? So usually something's like I do something odd, like something's awkward, every week. So you guys get 2 stories instead of just one.
Ooh,
So
treat.
we have a budget meeting on Thursdays, right? So now remember, keep in mind, on Wednesday nights I'm here till, last Wednesday I'm here till 2, right? And then I have class at 8, right? So they're very small, and I still haven't figured out the right rest time. Like, do I take a 3-hour nap before I go in? Like, I'm still trying to figure that
You're gonna
out.
retire regardless.
Yeah, probably, but I think I can do it right. I can get it down. I'll probably get it down in December and then start it all over again the next semester. So anyway, so it's the budget meeting, and the news editor is like, "Hey, we have this it was like a women's vote, or it was a race talk. It was a women race talk, or let's talk about race. Maybe there was nothing really happening to do with race, but let's talk about race."
Mhm.
So they're like, all right, we need someone to cover it. And I'm like looking away. I'm trying not to make eye contact. And I'm like, oh, I have class at 1:40. I'm not going to have enough time for interviews. And they're like, okay, Zach, you're going to do it. So, like I'm waiting so long. Like I'm trying not to go in, hoping they'll forget about it. And they keep reminding, like it's like 11:45. Like, oh, Zach, you should take off. You should take off. Like, I don't want to go. So I ended up going. And I was late to it, right? I was late because I couldn't find the building. I couldn't find the room in what's that horrible building? Fisher. Oh my gosh! Oh, it's an
It's a
N.C.
maze.
Escher
Yes.
painting. Oh my!
It's a maze within inside of a maze.
Yeah, room 305, room 317, room 419, all on the same level on the same floor. It's nuts. I wish nobody ever has a class in that, or I wish all your classes are in there. That way you can maybe understand it. But it is. So anyway, so I get in there and I go into the room that it's supposed to be in, and I talk to a secretary, and she's like, "Oh no, come with me." So she takes me down a hallway, and she opens up like a meditation, and I see one, two, three, four, five, maybe 6 women in there, and they're all sitting down, and they're all meditating, and they're in like they have their legs crossed, and so they start talking a little bit, and I don't know how to interject myself. So I am, and again, just so I can paint a picture well enough for my audience, I am the only male in that class or in that group, and then I am the only person. No, I wasn't the only white person, but I was definitely a white male. So they start talk. So the chant ends, and then they start getting into it right away. And so I have to interject. I have to let them know, like I'm with the Duquesne Dukes. I'm like, hey guys, I'm with the Duquesne Duke. I'm supposed to cover this story. Those women got so mad at me. They started yelling at me. Like they weren't yelling at me, but they were filled. And that's right. That's their circle. That's what they were kind of there to do, to kind of vent and let themselves,
So you were just a lightning rod there.
And here I am. And it was, my presence there was unprofessional. I should have emailed them before, or, something about it. But it was so bad. And so I'm tired. Like I haven't gotten a lot of sleep. And these very, I'm going to use the word charged up. They were emotionally charged up. And they just let me have it. Like it was not a fun experience. So.
It doesn't sound like it. Funny thing is, I was planning on going to that event.
I wish you would have been there. You could have seen my awkward moment. You could have seen.
I'd have been getting yelled at just so I'm with you.
No, because it was led by a licensed therapist, so everything is confidential in there. So I can't write. I can't quote anybody. I can't write about what's going on there.
Why were you there?
I think the newsroom. I think they hate me. I think that's these youngsters probably think I'm so annoying.
Anger in there.
No, it was fun. I mean, it
does not sound like it was fun whatsoever.
But it was so embarrassing. These women got so mad at me, and they, it's hard for me to say oh, you shouldn't have been mad at me. I'm just doing my job. When it was clearly, I was clearly in the wrong. And oh my gosh! And one of the women, I don't want to say that. I'm gonna keep her.
I'm gonna say please don't. That's no.
But no, I knew one of the people in there. And
was she on you the most? Like finally,
right? Yeah. So it was not the most fun time in that. So that's my second awkward story. And that kind of got me to this thing. And I got yelled at about, not yelled at, but they were very critical of my articles before. I don't get really do a really in-depth opinions piece. So I really just was having a hard time kind of this weekend, understanding where I was at emotionally, right? Because my feelings were hurt. I know that's not a tough guy thing to say, but, my feelings were hurt. My ego was hurt, and usually, the masculine part of you, wants to respond to those types of situations in anger, and I want to place blame in other people. So there was a lot of self-reflecting this weekend. And what I'd come to realize is that
you can start your own newspaper.
No, and that was a thought process, right? And that's such a sophomore childish thing, right? Something's not going my way or whatever, so I'm going to take the ball and play my own game. But I did have that thought, those kinds of thoughts were going in my head. Thank you for bringing that up, Chuck. And that's why you're such a good host. And well, for a lot of reasons, it's one of the reasons. But so you it's hard to take your ego out of situations. It's really hard, like to not.
Absolutely.
So what I've decided is that I really need to focus on my craft, right? And this is a craft, so I have to get really good at writing, and I have to really do a good job. And feedback is why I came to Duquesne, right? And, Pittsburgh, all that stuff, but the feedback and I came for this. And when things don't go 100% my way, it's not fair to project my thoughts onto others or not take those in stride. So there's a fine line of being pushed around and setting boundaries, and then and you got to give and you got to give and you got to get a little bit. So if you, and I've always had this. So in my life, for those that don't know, I'm an idiot, and like I chill out at rock bottom. Like for most of my 20s, I'm not going to say into my 30s because I'm in my early 30s, but late 20s, mid 20s to late 20s, I chilled out at rock bottom. Like I was always doing something, and then would find myself in a position where I'd have to start over again. And every time that would happen, the depression would come, the anxiety would come, and eventually, I would get to the right, talk to the right people, and kind of dig myself out. But one of the main mantras I had in doing that was work hard at whatever you're doing, right? So if you're stuck, if you're in the middle of something, you have to just, it doesn't matter what you're doing. And I know this sounds like a capitalist, which is not. This is a soul thing. It's not a money thing. But when you're if you're cleaning toilets, if you're, whatever, working wherever, being a soccer coach, getting hit with paint, doing paintballs, whatever you're doing, just focus your power, your into that, and that really helps. Just do a really, really good job at whatever is in front of you, and that alleviates so many issues. And I think sometimes what happens is you take away, right? You as things get better, you kind of leave your goals a little bit, and sometimes it's good to get knocked around a little bit. So I'm not saying I'm in a rock bottom now. I just had an emotional, I just had a hard time. Am I going too long? I'm having a hard time. I was just having a hard time adjusting to this new world that we're in. So that's my advice part. We haven't done an advice part in a while.
You a functioning adult. Keep it up. Me, I'd start my own newspaper. I'd be the pettiest person in the world.
I seriously look through my Google searches. Like, how much does it start your own magazine? I even had a name for it. It was PRC. Now I can't say the C word, but it was going to be Petty Rich and the C word. Like that was going to be.
Got ya.
The thing. Like that's how my mind works, because I'm a weirdo. So, but no, that's not the answer to it. Jody actually is a really good person to talk to about that kind of stuff.
Nice. Glad you wouldn't the petty route. Me, I'd go petty route. I'd steal the newspaper.
That's the initial reaction. It's like,
I would be the angriest person in the world.
Yeah.
But that's why I'm not the adult in this context. Which, good job. Keep it up, man.
I am. Well, and believe me, when I leave here, I'm going to probably play a bunch of video games and stuff, and look at my fantasy lineup so I can become 3-0 this week. So. How about them Steelers, eh?
I actually didn't get a chance to watch the game.
We were at the game. We went to the game.
I was here. I was watching a film on terrorism.
On Sunday?
On Sunday for a class. This way.
You have a class on Sunday?
I don't.
How'd you do that?
It was extra credit.
Oh, okay.
And I think I'm going to need it.
Well, that's cool.
And that's the only time we could do it.
We were both watching Terrorist, right? Because you were watching people that hated freedom, and I was watching a man that hated my freedom of enjoying football. Mitch Trubisky needs to go. We know what he is. I don't know what we're doing. Here's what happened.
Yeah.
Here's what happened, right? So he signed a 2-year free agent contract, right? I think it's $8 million, $4 million a year, stuff like that. And that's a pretty low contract for whatever the market decided. And so what Coach Time, what Mike said, and I can call him Mike because I've been in the locker room with him.
Yeah.
Well, not with him, but
we were
able to get in the locker room because Jeff told them that an airman was dead.
You're welcome.
Thank you. So I still have to write the letter. So what Talman did was like, hey, listen, you're not going to be here a long time. You're here for a good time, not a long time. Our defense is going to be so strong that we're going to that we're going to do our defense is going to be so strong that you just have to not turn over the ball. You don't have to be, you just have to pad up those stats a little bit. You just can't lose this games. Have a better touchdown to interception ratio, and you're going to be fine. Don't take a bunch of big risks. Our defense is going to carry you. You come to this team. Well, the problem is you haven't improved your run defense. I mean, you have a little bit. They have defensive line, but you're not moving the ball. And these concepts are so bad. They don't trust Trubisky. I don't trust Trubisky. It is Kenny Pickett time. And I'm not one, to clamor for change and stuff like that. I definitely believe the Steelers have a stable organization and they are paid, a lot more money than I am yet to make those types of decisions. But it is clear that Kenny Pickett should be the starting quarterback. I hope the Browns. I don't want to say that.
I mean, Cousin's gone, so you're the only Browns fan on the campus.
Not a Browns fan. Trubisky needs to go. Absolutely needs to go. He's the worst. He's not the worst quarterback. He's a very, very good backup quarterback, right? He can win you 2, 3, 4 games in the pitch, right? But he is not the answer. He can't throw the ball. He's inaccurate. He's afraid to make these plays. There are so many wide opens. We were there. Like it was fun. I loved it. I mean, I've never been to a home opener. This was my first time at a game like where the sun's out. Like it was like warm and stuff like that. We're sweating, and just watching. Like I felt bad because it was Jody's. It wasn't her first game, but it was like her first game in a long time, and she had to witness that atrocity that the Steelers want to call an offense. That's not how you play the game anymore.
And you guys got good seats too, didn't you?
We got great seats. Yeah, we were right there. We were right there in the end zone. It was beautiful. Yeah, It was. I mean, the Steelers. They were good seats, and it would have been really great if the Steelers would have made it into the end zone, right? And they would have taken the ball, that oval thing, and got it, past those pylons, and we could wave to them and said hello to them. But I did say some really bad things to I forget Aguilar. He's a wide receiver for the Patriots. And, I don't think he heard me, but I think he might have heard me. Everybody in the stands laughed. So I just wanted him to know that he's a very disappointing fantasy person. So I'm sure he cares very much about that. And he had a huge game. I think he must have heard me because he had a huge catch for like 40 yards. So I don't know. These Steelers, they just, that defense is good. I mean, I know they kind of gave up that run defense at the end, but Pat Trubisky, man, he just needs to go. What's the difference between him and Mason Rudolph? Tell me the difference. Other than Trubisky can run and get you a first down. Cool. So on the second series of the drive, we can punt instead of the first series. Excellent. It is Kenny Pickett's time. We cannot lose to the Browns. They're starting a quarterback who's just as bad as Trubisky. We need to win. Big game Thursday. Who you got?
Who do you think I got? Steelers.
Yeah, excellent. That's great. They're I think the Browns have a 3-point spread. I think they're going to give them 3 to Pitt. So yeah, it's a long season though, right? Real football isn't until week 8. I've said that before. You don't know what a team is until week 8. You have the injuries have to settle and fill out your formations and stuff like that. There's just been no progression from the previous season. There used to be. It's the same play calling. It's the same runs. It's the same, pass, behind the line. It's the same very, very easy concept that you see in the preseason. You don't see, when you have a chance to take, a game and a half lead in the division, you're just against the Patriots. Let me tell you, the Bengals aren't good, right? They will be good, but they're not a good team. So it took you, almost 5 quarters to beat them, and the Patriots are not a good team. That Mac Jones is, that offense has some issues too, and you can't do that. What's going to happen when you have to play Tampa Bay? When you have to play the Saints? It's going to be a long season, Jeffrey. Do you like Jeffrey?
It doesn't matter. As long as I know you're talking about me.
Does anybody ever call you King Joffrey?
No, I've had one guy call me Jeffrey Dahmer.
He went to Ohio State. I don't think he graduated.
It's not appropriate when you scream, "I'm Jeffrey Dahmer." You know what he did, right?
Yeah, he ate people, didn't he?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not very appealing when people don't know that you don't eat people.
Do you think it's weird that there's this fascination with serial killers? Every young lady, when I was doing
very weird.
Before I met you, I was doing the dating thing. I am really into serial killer podcasts. That has to say something about you, right?
Yeah.
Like, what's the difference between a serial killer and a mass shooter? Like, in 20 years, are these same people, the same demographic that enjoys serial killer podcasts, are they gonna be like, oh, back in 1999, the Columbine shooters, that was really interesting. Like, they're the same thing, right? A mass shooter, they just do it once at a time, right? But these guys are, I don't understand the difference there, the fascination. Like, I understand a little bit.
I mean, like some of the high profile ones I like, but then after a while, I'm like, I don't want to just hear random insert case here. Because some high profile ones, yeah, I do enjoy listening to.
I'm not a serial killer. I'd be so messy. I'd be so bad at that.
I think we'd be better than we think, and that's the scary part.
I know, because these guys, dude, I lost my keys 2 weeks ago. Like, I'm probably gonna leave my sunglasses in the studio again. Like, yeah, I would definitely tons of trails of
Just like people that are complete idiots get like very close to getting away with it. If you just have some semblance of a brain, I think you'll be okay.
Yeah.
And that's the part.
I think that's it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are past our time. So again, thank you so much for listening to me. I think it was good to get back in the groove of things. And again, I'm going to be here next. We're going to do it next week. We're for sure next week. I'm going to do a good job.
We're going to try to get some money in here.
Well, now I have nothing to do this week. I was right for the show. Right, Joey's going to go. I'm going to play a ton of it. I got an Apple Watch or whatever, and it tracks my movement. I'm going to do a goal. I think is on Saturday is to have like a total of 13 steps. Like, I'm going to this watch is going to yell at me every hour and 10 minutes or whatever that thing is to stand. Like, it's going to. Me and you, Apple Watch, on Saturday, we're taking the time off. We're taking the day off, but I'm going to wear you because I'm a product of products. So, all right, guys. Hey, thank you so much for listening. We'll be back next Tuesday. Excellent. Oh, wait, what's my thing? Be good to each other.
There we go. You got it. Ooh, nice.